Once again, we're live here at 2025 SHOT Show. The most beautiful, awesome thing about being at the SHOT Show in Las Vegas, you never know who you're going to see wandering down the aisles because they're an avid hunter, fisherman, or shooter. And, man, we look up, and there's Drake White, man. We've all listened to Drake's music, and actually Tyler Jordan, who's a good friend of Drake's. Yeah. And oddly enough, Drake and I have never really officially met. So we're like, man, we got to come in. We got to go live with you, man, because it's unbelievable. If you follow Drake and have been a fan of his music, some of you might know his story, but he has been through a hell of a lot. And good Lord's grace, man, he's here walking the aisles of the SHOT Show, talking hunting, fishing, and, man, it's amazing to finally meet you, brother.
So good to meet you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been a fan for a long time, so, yeah, just like you said, like coming here and meeting some guys that are everybody's busy, everybody's doing their thing. I'm going to go hunt this, do this, play these shows. But to come here and you know, be able to shake hands and tell some stories and hang out, you know, it's pretty cool.
Dude, I know it, man. And, man, you have had a hell of a time the last year or so, man, but you coming back swinging, baby.
Yeah, it's been kind of a Joe type story. I had a stroke on stage in 2019 due to what's called an AVM, arterial venous malformation. It's a lot of veins and arteries.
But nothing you knew of, just completely.
I just got a headache, man. I was preparing. I was getting in shape. I was out on tour with Zach Brown, about to go to Australia. I had this big life, you know, this big thing, and then just boom. And we were in the process of embolizing that sucker, which means gluing it shut. And I needed 7 embolizations to make that happen. So we were in the middle of it, and probably 4 surgeries in, I was going out and playing on the weekends. I'd get those surgeries on the Monday. Then I'd rest Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I'd be back on the road Thursday and Friday. And my neurologist said that was fine because this thing only had like a 2% chance of rupture. And so 40 shows in to the 2019 touring season, I walk on stage in Roanoke, Virginia, and I hear a gun go off in my head, and everything flipped upside down. And
was you right in the middle of your performance, kind of? Or?
Yep. It sounded just like the guy on the old school who got shot in the neck with a dart.
Roar, just
everything slowed down, and I was like, man, I'm having a stroke.
You knew it.
I knew exactly what happened. And by God's grace, I was 3 minutes away from a Trauma 1 unit. They saved my life. I saw angels in the corner of the room. I didn't see Jesus' face, but I saw a bright light, and I had the levitation over the bed. And
oh, my gosh.
All of that stuff happened. And Michael, why I'm here and why I teamed up with Tyler and all these guys is I've got this story that my brother-in-law put a game camera up. I was in a wheelchair and I was pissed off.
Right.
Because I couldn't hunt. I couldn't climb a tree. I couldn't do anything. And man, if it swam, flew, or walked, I was going to hunt it. Yeah, I love it. And 2 weeks later, 175-inch buck walked 100 yards from my back door.
Holy cow.
I carried my phone. I don't even know where my phone's at, but I carried my phone to my physical therapist, and I said, hey, man, I got to learn how to climb a ladder, and I'm in a wheelchair. He's like, dude,
you couldn't even walk in.
You got to learn how to walk. Well, he's from Mississippi, deer hunter, turkey hunter, and I said, he looked at me like I had 3 heads, and I held that 175-inch picture up, and he goes, get on that Versa Climber, let's go. And 2 months later, I never killed that deer, but 2 months later, I was climbing a ladder with my wife at the bottom of the stand. So I want to tell people, I want to share the story of redemption, of grace, of God's grace, and how hunting healed me. And so we've got this, we're shooting this documentary called The Hunt's the Healing.
Wow.
And I just got chills when I get chills when I say it because, you know, it clicked a primal instinct off of me and just made me like, man, I got to get out there and do this. I got to be a provider. I've since had a little boy that just turned 2. I've made 2 records. I'm back on the road. I'm going and doing this thing. But you get to feeling sorry for yourself like, man, I'm Drake White. Like, why did this happen to me?
Right.
Why did this thing? And then this deer pops up, just a picture on a trail camera. And it just made me like a grizzly bear. Like I was like, I've got to get in a tree.
That is
insane.
And
it healed me, man. amongst other things. But
right.
that healed me, and I just thought that was a great story, and people needed to hear it. You know,
it is an amazing story. It shows you how, because obviously when you're in that circumstance, I'm sure you got a lot of people saying, "Hey, man, Drake, you need to do this, you need to do that." Yeah. But then I'm sure there was a part of you that was like, "Man, I can't, dude. Can't you see me? I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I don't know what the road's going. You know." Yeah. So it's hard not to be, like you said, angry, frustrated, probably questioning God, like, why? I mean, what? Then all of a sudden, just it brings to you from the desire to get back out in the deer stand.
For sure, the fear, that we all have. We've heard everybody's had the nightmare of the buddy falling out of a tree stand, or I fell out of a tree stand before. But you take it, the fear of like, well, I can't go hunt because that's dangerous to go do and put myself in these situations. And my neurologist told my wife he has to hunt. Look at it. Like,
so he was
for.
What a great doctor.
I know.
A lot of doctors go really conservative.
Yeah, but he looked at my brain after that. Like I said, I hunted it for 2 years, never killed it. And I have to think, I never saw it killed, and it's a tight-knit community when you kill a 175-inch deer in Tennessee.
Absolutely.
You're going to see it. What if God just put that deer there, and it wasn't even real? It was an angel deer. So I was hunting an angel deer. When I get up to heaven, I'm going to ask him.
It's like, God, was this a real deer? I never saw him, never physically saw him other than the pictures.
No, I saw him.
You saw the deer?
I saw him, but I saw it twice. I had 2 encounters with it with a crossbow. And I grew up, love hunting with an upright bow, love chasing it in that challenge. Still do. But my shoulder was gone, from the stroke, my left shoulder. So I had a crossbow, and I was out there, and that's another story, rebuilding my shoulder to get on that upright bow and be shoot. Like, I backed it down to 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and now I'm up to like 40, 50 pounds. And, I think this year I'll be able to kill one, but we're documenting that. We documented all of that process.
So from head to toe, physically, spiritually, even mentally with the stroke. And what's interesting to me, what you said, and it goes to, like, think about post-traumatic stress. I know they've done these scans of people's brains of what makes them heal, what makes, like you see these kids just had all this trauma in their life, and they say, man, I've never seen a brain that's this damaged. I'd seen something just the other day. It was on a kid who had basically is in prison. He ended up killing, I think, his parents, and they did a study on, and he's like, man, I've never seen a brain in that bad a shape. He's talking about all the trauma he'd been through. So in this case, the neurologist could tell, based on just the study of the brain, like
the neuroplasticity was reforming around that lesion.
But out of your excitement,
hope,
and faith that you could get back in this tree stand.
That's it.
People don't hear that story enough. That's why I think this would be a good story to document.
We got it, and I've always felt like I was meant for something big, and I've always wanted to be a superstar and play on, and I'm on my way to doing that. And it is what it is. But hunting for me, grew up in a hunting family. Grandfather was a preacher, so he was a very articulate rider. He was good. Now I love that Steve Ranella, Michael Waddell. I love y'all's riding and the way that you make it sound, and how you did on Rogan. It just makes us as hunters look good, and I appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
So I want to write this story of how, man, it's spiritual.
Yes.
And it is a newer idea for us not to hunt than it is for us to hunt. Some people are like, oh, you're a hunter?
Yes. And
I've never really being from Hopes Bluff, Alabama, I've never been around anybody that didn't hunt, same as you.
Right.
But so people that, when I get in the creative world, people are like, you might not want to show the picture of the dead tongue. I was like, well, I'll cut the tongue out.
Yeah, exactly. Clean it up, do this.
It was it's a good story, and I praise God every day that I was able to go through it, and I just want to share it with people, and I am here to plant seeds with people like you and folks to help me, and Tyler, and it's a good life. And
it goes also, Drake, further than just like, obviously you've been in the music industry, and a lot of people don't realize how competitive, how tough, and obviously, there's so much talent out there, but then, you have certain things that try to curtail your talent, or like, you growing up in Alabama being a hunting fisherman, like, yeah, you might not need to be going on those hunt shows right now. We're going to clean you up and do this and that, and we're going to kind of create this image. And so to speak, it can be somewhat of a machine, but it shows the reality of how it all ties back into our ability to do certain things, but also the ability, like I've always thought hunting had so much therapeutic value. If you try to remove yourself from it, if you're in it, but I've always told people that's never been part of it, if you want to kind of come and find some peace and kind of be still, know there's God, it's hunting. There's no better way to be out there and doing that. And when you understand that whole connection and that kind of life cycle of what we're here for and that security with it, in this case, I mean, very rare, it could easily be said, the good Lord, number one thing, saves your life. But that idea of being outdoors, you getting in a ladder could have saved your life.
Yeah, and I mean, if you do the discography here, 2020 happened right after this stroke. So I get back up on my feet, and then I didn't play a show for 2 years. I played in my barn, played live casting, did stuff like that. But hunting was something for me to test myself and be like, well, I couldn't climb that hill 3 months ago, but now I can climb it. Or I couldn't climb that ladder. I couldn't do this, but now I can. And it gave me a barometer. Does that make sense? Like
yes, 100%.
Measuring stick to go, well, I am healing. And that momentum produces hope.
Correct.
And that's all we need. If we got hope that tomorrow's going to be better than today, well, then that's all we need. And that, yesterday with, no matter where you fall on the inauguration or no matter whatever, that you could feel that hope.
Feel the energy.
I
agree.
This deer gave me energy, and it gave me this primal click of like, get up off your ass and go do it,
That's right.
And it was awesome. And I'm so glad, and I thank God every day that I'm a hunter.
Oh, dude, what a story. And I do too, man. From that standpoint of seeing it work through you, and it's amazing too. You think about it, like obviously not hating on a Taylor Swift or even an Adele, but they write all their music on a broken heart and some guy doing them wrong. And you sit here and listen to Drake White's music. I can't imagine sitting around with the right songwriters and just yourself and your own creativity, some of the music that could come out of this experience, and probably already is coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Hurts the Healing is a song that I had. So the Hunts the Healing came from that song. The whole record came from the whole last two records.
All the
really
adventure
came from this thing. And I think, I know Jocko, the Jocko is the Navy SEAL guy that says when tumultuous activity comes toward him or challenges, he says good.
It is good.
And I can't help, my goal now is I'm going to be back in the mountains with my Oregon buddies, and I'm going to hike those hills and kill an elk with my bow. Because that's the ultimate test, and I'm going to pack it out. With these deer that I've been lucky enough to harvest now, I always walk to them. I always clean them myself. I always process, unless, there's plenty of hunting opportunities where you don't have to clean them. But it's like, no, it means more to me to kneel over that animal and thank him for the opportunity to give me hope. And you look forward to that next trip with your buddies or with you guys.
Certainly appreciate everything even more, I would assume. It's so good to hear, man. Thank you for not ever being a victim. It had been so easy to roll over and waller around, especially
and almost did.
Where you were, because you were at the top of the game, man. Every time you turn on the radio, you were starting to hear the Drake White songs. You was touring with Zach. You was around good people and everything going. Then you got knocked to your knees. But, man, looks like you're getting ready to soar like the eagle, baby, and you are, man.
Yeah.
So thank you, buddy. Hell yeah, you're a hell of a dude, man.
I appreciate it.
Pleasure to get to meet you. Now I can't wait to see your hunting camp with you.
Come on, man.
Look forward to it, man. Thank you for joining us. Drake White, y'all.